we do it again?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Jona.
And I'm Daniel.
And today we're doing our top 10 games of all time. At least as of today. Alright, so Daniel doesn't normally review board games with me, but I wanted him to be a part of my top 10 list because he has a very different taste in board games, but our collection is shared, so we'll get more of a picture of our whole collection by sharing both of our board games. And it's just more interesting to have, two perspectives. He's kind of like a black sheep of the board gaming group. He likes to go play disc golf more than sit down and play board games at this point. But that's okay. So I'm curious to see what are your top 10, because your taste in gaming and your desire to gaming is so different from when we first got into the hobby.
Yeah, I think part of that though is that a lot of games I really enjoy, the average person doesn't enjoy. So the average game that gets to the table, I'm not as interested in. I just think that's sort of why my enthusiasm has waned a bit, because I'm like, oh, we're playing another medium to light game. Saying all that, I do have a lot of lighter games on my list, especially with the pandemic and everything. Our game circle in the last 2 years, roughly, which is the last time we did a list was 3 years ago, has been our family.
We're gonna start with number 10. Would you like to go first?
That's a good way to start.
Okay. Would you like to go first, or should I?
I'll go first. This is a game that one of the first games we ever bought, and we hadn't played it much recently. We got it out. I found it on a shelf, and I was like, oh, let's just play this real quick. And I forgot how much I enjoyed it. It's just a really good, snappy game, and that's Star Realms. And we've probably played this game. This is probably our second most played game since we started playing games. And man, I just forgot how good of a game it was. I don't know if this will be, if we do the list next time, I don't know if this will be on the list, but it's the fact that it's so quick and so easy, and even though we haven't played it in a year, and I played it not just with you, but with like a friend of mine, we just had like 15 minutes, and we played 2 games of it in 15 minutes. Neither of us have played in a year. It's just a fun little game.
I agree. It is a great little game. It's a card game where you're battling out with the other person. I've always enjoyed it because I felt like we could compete really evenly, and there was a lot of tension in the battle.
Yeah.
All right, my number 10 is Western Legends, and this is a sandbox style game where you're in the Wild West and you're actually able to play characters that are real Western legends, and there's little bits of history throughout, but basically you can, be a good guy or a bad guy. You can switch roles halfway through the game. You can pay him for gold. You just do all the Western tropes that you can possibly imagine. I've heard people criticize it and say, well, if someone gets in the lead, they run away with the win. But I don't really care about who wins when I play this. If you're that sort of gamer where it's more about the experience and you just like having fun playing out, almost an imaginary world, this one's just great.
I think this is one of the few games where where you don't want to play the longer version. I think it's like they have a short, medium, and long game, and normally it's like, oh, well, if everyone's into the game, we should play the long version. But I think it drags out a little bit. If you play the just regular length, normal version, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's already a longer game, and you get to do everything you want to do mostly, and I think that might be the problem. People try to do a long game.
Yeah.
Do you feel that if you played this game twice in a month, that you would just be kind of tired of playing it?
It's not the sort of game where you want to play it immediately after you've played it. It's an experience. It's like a whole afternoon let's get together and play Western Legends. So yeah, probably not. All right, so
it's my turn?
Number 9, yeah.
My number 9 is Vast, the Crystal Caverns or something. This is a fun asymmetrical game. Everyone's playing different roles. Someone's a knight, and someone's a dragon, and someone's the goblins, and someone's the cave, and everyone's trying to kill someone else, or at least prevent someone else achieving their goal. I've had a lot of fun plays of this, and I feel that I still haven't played everything there is to play to it. But honestly, the teaching of this game is a bear because everyone's playing different games, and so it does keep me from pulling it out as often as I might like to. I only get it out with people who are used to playing lots of games to begin with, so that they can.
Or if they've played it before.
Well, of course, if they've played it before, but
really
like
helpful.
I mean, like I don't teach it to people who are newer to games.
Right.
I teach it to people who have already played lots of games, so they won't. So the rules will come a little more easy.
So what do you like about it?
Well, I like the asymmetrical play of it. I like the unusualness of it. It doesn't feel like any other games we play.
What makes it really unusual to you? I know in my mind what it is, but
Well, everyone says the fact that the cave
yeah, the board is changing.
playing against everyone. Yeah, the board changes. You're exploring the cave and pulling out tiles. And that is fun. Like, that was, I think, sort of a little bit of the gimmick when it came out, that the cave was playing. But the more I play, it becomes less of a gimmick and more of just, like, everyone's actually involved. Including, and the fact that there's a person involved with the board you're playing on. It's kind of like solves, some games kind of need a DM of sorts to make the game happen. And this makes the DM an active player, because it's the cave, who can also win the game without them feeling like overpowered. They have to pull their punches.
Yeah.
It's for as asymmetric as it is, it feels pretty well balanced. Because if someone is running away with it, everyone's going to try to sort of
stop them.
But
which seems natural to the story too. Yeah, I didn't put this even in my top 30, but and that's partly because of the learning curve. It's just really hard. And the last time I played it, I played the trolls, which I feel had the most caveats and like special
goblins,
oh, the goblins, so it was fun, but I'm like, I'm never playing that part of it again.
Yeah,
but it's a unique game.
Some of the
I
characters are
appreciate
definitely
it.
harder to get than others.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. Okay, so my number 9 is Wingspan, and this is a bird-themed engine-style building game. You're trying to get cards placed into your little mat, and then you get to activate that action in the future. So you build upon gathering more and more actions that you'll get to activate. You're gathering food for your birds. You're learning about birds. It's beautiful. It's very picturesque, and it's new to my collection, so it's not super high on my list. I haven't played it that many times.
This is a game that I feel is being it was going to replace Ticket to Ride and Catan as a gateway game.
It's too complicated. The reason Ticket to Ride is the family game, it's because it lends to ages, all sorts of ages, all sorts of entry levels, and it's just fun.
I mean, entry level for adults. Yeah. I hear people talk about Wingspan that aren't gamers, that are just like other people on YouTube or whatever referencing this game Wingspan. Have you heard this game Wingspan? Like, it's reaching an audience. And I think that Ticket to Ride, often people get bored with it. If people aren't used to board games, they'll play Ticket to Ride and be like, oh, that's a fine family game. Yeah. But why would we play it with adults?
Why would we play a kid game? Yeah, that's true.
So anyways, it's just I have a theory that sometimes gateway games are too light for some people, and they don't find them interesting because they're just don't even get me started on King Tokyo and how
I haven't even played that, but wait, I think I did. Isn't it like a flicking?
It's just a yachts. It's Yahtzee.
It's Yahtzee
with standees.
Well, anyway, Wingspan has more meat. There's more to think about, more strategy. And I mean,
and it's beautiful,
it could interest a lot of people.
All right.
Hey, before we move on, please subscribe and give this video a like if you're enjoying it. If not, then obviously just as you were.
So why are you still watching?
As you were. They're waiting to see if it gets better.
Oh, okay. All right. So like so many games, this one isn't full of original ideas, but it does curate many fun aspects. Into a gem of a game. It has pixel art textures, and it marries those with like really inspired lighting and perspective lens.
Oh,
This is a video game called Valheim.
you can't put video games on.
You said top 10 games.
Top 10 board games.
This is a top 10 game list for me. And so Valheim is a game that I started playing during the pandemic with a bunch of a group I would play tabletop games with. We were playing video games instead together. And Valheim, you can play on a server just with your friends. And it's just really interesting. It's an open world. It pays a little homage to Minecraft with its pixel art textures, but it's so much more beautiful. You're adventuring together and defeating monsters. It's a Viking thing. Fun to play multiplayer. It's fun to play solo. I spent a lot of time in this game, and it has sailing, which is done very well. And who doesn't like sailing? So, with the way the world is right now, sometimes you can't get together with people. So this is a game I've played with other people.
And it's Valheim?
Valheim.
It's
like purgatory for Vikings.
Delightful. Okay, so my number 8 is a board game called Ponzi Scheme. And this was on my last top 10. Ponzi Scheme is a stock trading themed game, but you really are trying to pull off Ponzi schemes. You are investing in, I always say this wrong, investing in stock options.
You're selling securities to people and promising a rate of return to them.
They're in the form of these cards, and you'll get a certain amount of money, and then there's a red number underneath it, which is much, much higher, and that is what you are promising to the person investing. If you go bankrupt, when you have to pay them back, you're going to lose the game. And there's also a blind bidding phase of the game where you can buy other people's industry tokens, which is what you're really trying to get to win. At different times, people will be really desperate for money, and you can really get a lot of industry tokens from people. Anyway, I love it. It's very interesting to see how the game plays out and who is good at reading other people's situations and if you can offer them the right bid. I love gauging that. The blind bidding is where it's all at for me. Did you fall asleep? Stop it! Anyway, Ponzi Scheme's my number 8.
This game is more exciting than she makes it out to be. I'm telling you. My number 7 is Flatline. This is a mostly real-time game where you're trying to save patients on a spaceship that's been sabotaged or something. It has a bunch of dice rolling, and it's cooperative, and so you're trying to place these dice appropriately. I like real-time games, and so I had to put one on the list. Flatline's a game that we play with our family a lot, and it's not like a super highbrow game or anything, but it's fun. It's got fun custom dice, and who doesn't like some dice rolling?
It does have great dice.
It's not super hard like some cooperative games.
It is super hard. We just got pretty good at it. The key is to plan out what you're going to do. And if you don't do that, you can't just, it's not a party game. You do have to strategize.
It's a cooperative game.
Yeah, it's a cooperative game. But it almost comes across like it's a party game. Like it's rolling dice, it's really chaotic. That's kind of what you think of as a party game, but it's not. You really have to strategize, like we're going to take care of this patient, we're going to take care of this crisis, and then we can, secure this alarm going off, and then we might get to the end. We might get to the next round.
It's one of those real-time games where, you talk about what you're going to do, then you start a timer and roll the dice, and then based on the things you roll, you can accomplish certain things based on the dice. That everyone has their own dice. They're all rolling. You're all rolling and trying to cooperate together. So you don't know exactly what you're going to get to solve what issues. So it's just a lot of fun. We haven't played it in a while, and we should get it out again.
Yeah. Well, my number 7 is Star Realms.
Oh.
And so, we had a crossover.
That's really high.
Yeah, it is really high. And it was partly from my experience of like getting it out the other month, and we played it again. I'm like, man, this is such a good game. And it's been a part of like playing games as an adult for so long. I'm like, this is just a classic. It's so perfect at creating a battle-like feel with your opponent, and it just is like, I don't know, it's what I compare all other battling games too. And it still was one that we go back to and play. So I was like, I just got to put it on the list.
It's kind of like a martini. Like, martinis have been around forever and they're simple. But there's sometimes you just don't mess with a good recipe, you know?
Star Realms is the martini of board gaming.
Yeah.
But kids can play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kid friendly.
Okay.
All right, my number 6 is Karuba, and this game has no business being this high. And honestly, it's mostly because of our kids. Our boys love playing this game, and it's a game that you can play with 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds that you, as an adult, you don't get like sick of. This
great.
to me is my favorite quote family or gateway game. If you're just playing it with adults, unless people are like really new to games, it's pretty light, which isn't always bad. But you're just everyone. Someone calls out tiles, like you're just pulling a tile randomly, and it's a path on the tile, and then everyone grabs the same tile, so you're all playing with the same exact tiles. It's like bingo style, you're calling them out, and then you're placing them on your board and trying to get your explorers to the temples to collect treasures. So whoever gets the most points wins, and it's just a lot of fun to play with kids.
It is.
And I've really enjoyed it, and though we've played it a dozen or several dozen times, I still am not completely tired of playing it. Like my kids like, let's play a game. I'm like, let's play Karuba because
sure, let's do it.
Yeah, and it's a short game. You should check especially if you have kids. This is one you should check out.
Yeah, I concur. All right, my number 6 is Viticulture, and this is a worker placement game, and it's themed around owning a vineyard, and it is one of the best worker placements I've ever played, so it has to go on my list. I really enjoy the turn placement aspect at the beginning of each round. You get to take turns deciding what order you want to go in for placing your workers out. And I love that like ritual type thing. It changes the course of the round. You may get a huge benefit by choosing to go first, but then you don't get you get little rewards for going lower in the rank as far as turn taking. I just like that. And there's all sorts of other things to consider throughout the game. It's just a classic. We've always liked this game, and it's the only worker placement on my list, and it's because I think it's the best one we have.
My number 5 is a game that I played in the past, I guess 2 years ago now. I don't remember. It's a newer game to our collection, and the first time I played it, even after the first couple rounds, I was like, are you sure these are all the rules? It doesn't seem like this is the whole game. No, this is Rallyman GT. It's a racing game, and this is a great game with lots, the more people the better. I feel it plays up to 6. I think that's it. Maybe higher. Anyways,
it does have a lot of colors.
You almost need I think you almost need 4 players to make it.
Yeah, good. It says 2-player on the box, but it's not really fun at 2 players. It works.
And 3 players, But everyone has the same dice and movement. The thing about this game that confused me is that you have the dice that let you move, and they're different gears. But you don't roll the dice and then see what your movement is. You decide where you're going to move with the dice by changing gears. And then after you've planned your whole turn out, then you will roll the dice and see if you spin out.
If you crash.
Or you crash. And it almost seems too simple. It seems like, where's the game in this? If we all have the same dice and the same movement, isn't this just going to end up the same? And it really doesn't. There's this subtle rules about speed limits around certain corners and getting stuck behind other cars.
It depends who's next to you.
Yeah.
What order you're in. Turn order is huge in this.
Yeah, and you have to go through you can downshift as much as you want, but you got to go through the gears, and you only have one third gear dice, so you can't go from second to fourth. It's I like games that are subtle. It is so rules light for the type of game it is. It's very rules light, and yet it works very well. So that's my Rallyman. It's a little bit of a longer game.
I like it too, because technically it is dice rolling. You can play totally with the luck of the dice, but it usually doesn't work out. It's much better to roll strategically and like, okay, I'm going to wait before I roll that last dice.
Yeah, the dice rolling is not punishing unless you choose it to be.
Which I do.
Which is also interesting. You can play very safe and probably never spin out.
Yeah. It is a good game. I like it. Okay, so my number 5 is Karuba as well. And for all the things that Daniel mentioned about it being just a perfect for our family.
Another cross.
I know, another crossover.
I thought you would be tired of this game.
No, I do like to play it. I like to introduce it to my friends and family. And I just like watching my 4-year-old show my father-in-law how to play. It really is a great game, and no, I'm not tired of it. So,
John always talks about how like I've stopped liking board games as much, and I think part of it is that a lot of the games I really enjoy, I really get excited about. A lot of other people we play board games with are not excited to play, and vice versa. So this is one of those games that I love to play. But trying to find people to play with me is harder than the rule set of this game, which is saying something. And it's Arkwright. This is a economic game built around the time of the Industrial Revolution, and you can start factories of different goods like bread or utensils or oil lamps. And all the people you're playing against can do the same thing. And so you're just competing to sell goods. It's a bit of a it's as far as really heavy economic games go, the rules make sense. Like they're logical rules. They fit the theme. It doesn't feel like there's tedious, unneeded rules, but there are a lot of rules. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I was talking about this with a friend of mine who I play with, Joe. And so he also plays this game and enjoys it. And we talk about how we always need to relearn the rules every time we play, but also how the rules don't seem super hard. There's just a lot of them. Like if you play 18xx games, or like if you play heavy games,
you'll have a different
like if you like Food Chain Magnate or something, like this is along those lines. But we were just talking about how the rules in this game make more sense than like in Food Chain Magnate. They're easier to remember because they make more logical sense. Anyways, maybe someday I'll find like a group of people. This is another game where it's really good at 4 players, which typically like these heavier games you kind of want to keep at 3 players or something. But
you need that 4th player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could warm a seat for you at that table, but I'm sorry, honey. You married the wrong woman for our cry.
That's all right. Everyone's different. Some of us are just more different than others.
Why, thank you. My number 4 is Project L. It's on my list because I love this game. It's a puzzle solving, tile placement game. The rule explanation is so simple. It's really easy for people to get into. It's using polyomino. Am I saying that right? I think I said it right. Polyomino style shaped tiles to complete these puzzles, and when you complete a puzzle you get a new puzzle piece to add to your pool of puzzle pieces so you can make better and better puzzles, and the more puzzles you make, the harder they are, the more victory points you get. And I just love the way that they designed it. Like the game ends when the final black puzzle is taken from the table, or flipped over, I should say. So there's this very visual countdown of like when the game is going to end, what's going to happen next. It's very elegant and beautiful, and I just think even if people don't love this style game, there's still a good impression from it because it's so beautifully designed and sleek and slick and fun to play. So I really
This is
like
a good gateway game.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this
that's
is a
what I
good
like it.
gateway
I'm
game.
all about gateway games because it's fun to teach someone something new like this. So.
I don't mind this game. Objectively, this is a good game.
Thank you. Thank you. High praise.
But if you can find other people to play with you, so
Go
be
for it. Anyway, it's your turn.
Oh, okay. My number 3 is a game we probably spent more time playing in the past 5 years than any other game. It's D&D.
Aww.
D&D is a really fun game, but it can also be the worst game. This, more than any other...
Most disappointing.
Well, more than any other, this game really depends on the group that you're playing with because
Yeah.
you're all playing make-believe together. I don't need to tell you about it. You've probably heard about it already.
If you haven't, we'll link a video above.
Google D&D on
Yeah.
YouTube. This is like definitely though, like if you had a bad experience playing D&D once, you probably would never play it again. And it's easy to have a bad experience because it's so dependent on who you're playing with, and a lot of it depends on the DM and how good of a DM they are, or even if they just jive with your personality. But when you find the group that you can let yourself go with and get comfortable with and have fun with, I think I've had more fun playing this game than any other game.
Me too. The most fond memories and bonding. Like, it's not only having good personalities, it's having people that are committed to playing with you.
Yes.
And that's really the hard part, is finding someone who's willing to learn their role and to, place a date on the calendar and commit to it. So there's a lot of that involved as well. And that really kind of builds relationships around the actual game, which is really cool. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I didn't put it on my list because I was like too literal about the board game list.
I mean,
so.
I understand you being shocked by the video game, but this is a tabletop game.
It totally is. It totally is. I just was thinking more like what you can buy at a store and play with anyone.
You can buy this at the game store.
You can buy the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not as clear cut as like a board game in a box.
I understand.
So,
It's an
anyway.
RPG.
It doesn't come in a box. It doesn't.
It's not a board game, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah. Stuff.
Okay. So my number 3 is a tile placement game called Miyabi, in which you're making this like Zen garden on your little player board, and it requires a sort of thinking where you're filling out your garden in a lovely way, but you also need to build up to gain more points. This is just a game that really took me by surprise by how much I enjoyed it. This is definitely my wheelhouse, like tile placement, puzzle solving, competing against others to solve the same puzzles. You're drafting from the pool, like a public pool of tiles each round, and there's a limited amount, so people are competing to place the tiles that they want to get the points that they want. There's points that you score immediately, and then there's points for end of game goals. There's just a lot of different avenues and aspects to it, to like where you could win. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a great one. I think it's overlooked. It's kind of
Yeah, it is overlooked.
yeah, and it's also like very eco-friendly. There's no plastic in it at all, so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, what I like about this game is a lot of games where you're kind of doing your own thing on your own board, you almost don't care what the other people are doing. But a lot of your points in this game are based on whether you beat the other person.
Competition, yeah.
At putting so many bushes or whatever in a line. And so that comes into play with how you're placing your tiles, but also the tiles you're drafting. So I like this game because I'm paying much more attention to what other people are doing in this game compared to most other
Tile
solo
placement.
group games.
Yeah,
I like to call it.
Solo
So,
playing.
Yeah, like you really do have the opportunity to hate draft in this game, and depending on how competitive you
You don't
want to be.
do that too much though, because there isn't a lot of wiggle room.
Well, I mean, like compared to
shoot yourself in the foot.
Project L, like Project L, you're just doing your own thing and
Yeah.
hope that you get more points than the other people. Where this one, you will do better if you're competitively trying to
Outbuild
outplay
someone
the other.
else.
Yeah, outbuild some. Yeah, so it's a very good game.
Yeah,
You have a
so-
lot of puzzle games on your list.
I do.
I mean, you have like I can think of 3 at least off the top of my head.
Yeah. I do. It's just what I like. So.
My number 2 game is a game that I probably spent more money on than any other game in the past. So, this is disc golf.
What? This is not a. This does not count. That's
a game.
Sport. It's a sport.
Sports are games.
Okay. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I mean, I know disc golf isn't a board game. Okay. But can I just talk about why I enjoy it so much?
Sure.
What enjoyment I get?
Yeah.
I'm not a very athletic person, and it's something I can do outside that I feel like I can get into. It's a very thinky game. Like most sports are reactionary, and disc golf isn't. Like you wait, you're taking your turn, and then you move action. And you can influence the flight of a disc really far away. The angles of your disc release, a lot of it's technique. I mean, there are like 14-year-olds that throw 100 feet further than me easily, super easily, and I'm stronger than they are, but they have the technique now. You know what I mean? So that's the fun, that's the challenge of it. We have a lot of wooded courses around here, park courses, and to me that's the most fun. When you can throw a disc through a gap in the trees that's 100 feet away and just have it keep going, it's such a good feeling. It's such an endorphin rush.
I'm glad you like disc golf. I remember the days when I used to get mysterious packages on the front porch and it would be a board game. I'd say another board game. And now we get mysterious packages and they're discs.
Another disc.
Another disc. It is a great sport. I very much appreciate that it's not overly commercialized.
Yeah.
It has a great community. Like he'll lose a disc and be kind of brokenhearted about it in a very mediocre sense. And he'll get a phone call and people will be like, hey, your discs is here, you can go pick it up. Or people will drop it off at their house and it's just the community.
I've made a lot of friends.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat. It's not a board game.
But it is a game.
All right, well, let's move on to a board game. My number 2 is photosynthesis. This is a, what am I saying?
It's another puzzle game.
It's another puzzle game.
Like visual puzzle game.
It is considered an abstract game, but it's very thematic.
Yeah.
Extremely thematic. It's not an abstract game.
People just say that because the board is
because they don't know what to think.
symmetrical.
Because it's not like your typical theme. It's a game where everyone is a species of trees, and you're trying to get your trees to be the most dominant tree species in the forest. And you have to plant your seeds and then upgrade them to little trees, and you upgrade them to the highest one. And then when you finally get your tree to the highest it can grow, you can claim the land tile, and there's different points on the board for those different types of land. It's very strategic. I think people think of it as abstract strategy because it has a chess feel. Like this, you have to think ahead strategically, and you have to be respondent to what people are doing next to you, because there's also this whole aspect of collecting light so you can produce more trees. And the light that you collect is based off of where the sun is shining, and other trees can block you and shade you and prevent you from getting sun.
Yeah.
It's such an excellent game. It is beauteous. It's a game that I'm always in the mood to play. I always bring it to game night. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, you never know, someone might want to play this.
This game, more than most, truly is strategic and not tactical. A lot of board games say a lot of people will say a board game is strategic when really it's a tactical game. This game is very strategic. And I think that's why people associate it with abstract games, because those tend to be more strategic. If you play the advanced rules of this game, where you can only grow trees that are in sun and ones in shade can't be grown, it's really good. It's really good.
Have we played that one?
I played it once or twice, but mostly I don't teach it that way, and I'm usually teaching a new person.
Difficult. Yeah.
But this was in my top 10 last time, I think. I just have played it a lot, and I get less excited to play it now. I'd be more excited if I could just always play it the advanced mode, I think.
We'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, well.
So, we've come to the number 1.
Number 1. Do you want to go first?
I kind of have a sneaky suspicion about our number ones.
That's the same.
It's the same one.
That's boring.
Well, what are we supposed to
Let's
do
start
now?
over. Spirit Island?
Spirit Island.
Yeah. Of course it is.
And it's really bizarre to me because I did a top 10 2 years ago, I think, and it wasn't even on my top 10
We've
at that
won her
time.
over.
It's an asymmetrical anti-colony themed game where spirits are protecting this island from invaders or like people trying to colonize the islands. And each spirit has its own set of abilities and rules and cards, but there's also like power cards that everyone pulls from. So you can kind of glean from what other people are doing. They can help you, you can help them. You start out weak and you grow stronger over the course of the game. Every spirit has its own unique thing to bring. And it's so passionately designed and thought out. Every spirit is thematic to I think that's what's amazing is how thematic it is. The thing that really won me over was the latest expansions with the new spirits.
Really?
Yeah, because I felt boxed in by what I had accomplished with the base game.
Okay.
I felt like I was just afraid of trying certain spirits. I felt like I should just do the easy ones because that's what I feel strong in. And playing the Jagged Earth gave me so much opportunity to try new things and to see how new strategies work. And it really kind of gave me an avenue into other parts of the game I hadn't explored.
When we first bought this game, I really enjoyed it, and it didn't get great reviews at the time when it first came out. Most people were cool on it, but I loved it. I fell in love with it, and she was cool on it too. And it's been really growing in popularity, which I'm excited about, because it's one of those games where I had a hard time finding people to play with. And now it's been easier and easier to find people to play with because more people are warming up to it and enjoying it. And I think that this may have fallen off my number one spot if we hadn't recently played a 5-player game of it that was very good and very exciting.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, and people are like, don't play it. Oh, like, I wouldn't want to play this game at high levels.
Oh man.
But everyone plays I don't
You mean
understand.
high player count? That's what.
Yeah,
you meant?
high player counts, but
these people they had been playing for a while, so they knew the
they
rules.
Right. But also, like, if everyone knows the rules, you're playing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like someone takes a 10-minute turn and then you're waiting for someone else to take a 10-minute turn.
No, it was a blast. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And,
So it really doesn't add time like some other games. Yeah, this is also a game that you just play so many times, and there's still more to learn about it. I think though that even though I still would play it at 2 players, I'm like tired of playing at 2 players. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, we played over 100 times at just 2 players. I still will play. I still enjoy playing it at 2 players. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited to play with lots of people.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of the spirits are more supportive. So the more people you have playing, the more useful their abilities feel.
Right.
And some of the spirits are a lot more powerful if there's a few people playing.
Right, right.
So it's fun to play with different player counts because
get a different
you feel for everything. Yeah.
All right, so those are our top 10 games.
Yeah, top 10 games. True statement.
Top 10. It was my top 10 board game.
I think it's fun to do a list with more than just one niche hobby in it. Who's right? Am I right or is she right? Was it a good... You don't have to agree with me that disc golf is like better than all these other board games, but the fact that I included things other than board games, was I right about that? I'm really curious because if everyone disagrees with me, then the next time we do this list, I'll just stick pure board games.
No, you won't.
I will. If everyone's like, we come to this channel for board games.
We hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya. My number 7,
Because they can take.
Let's redo that.
Yeah,
You're going on and on and on.
It's so hard to explain.
It's so, like, you just did a full review of the game.
Oh.
Energy. Hoo, ha, hoo,
We need energy.
hoo.
Does it look so crooked? That's nice.
Ba.
I jiggled things. We changed the
Do you want to
format.
check?
We
Do
should
you want
be
to check
good.
to make sure it's
I think it's fine. Like, it looks okay in the
okay?
screen.
All right. I thought like maybe disc golf should be number 1.
Oh my god.
But then
So my number.
no. Yeah, 4. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm a full person. I don't just play board games, right?
Gosh,
I play
do not
different games.
Offend the full person. The games that we love, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm torn about my list.
There was one game that I didn't put on my list because I didn't fit that like stereotypical game in a box.
Oh, what was it?
Pinochle. Because it's like
That's
a classic
totally a tabletop. I really
commercial
enjoy
titles.
Pinochle. You know how like every family has like the old-fashioned card game they play? Pinocle's the game that my family would play. And I
Yeah.
really enjoy playing with my family and my uncles and my
But
grandfather.
yeah, I wouldn't play it with friends.
I wouldn't play it with anyone else though.
Yeah, I love playing it with your family. I love the dynamic. It's not. I think, and that's why I have it in a different category because it's not
Yeah.
a game I would teach
Yeah.
to anyone really,
Other than our kids.
other
maybe.
than our kids. And it's not a game you would take to game night and be able to play a game. At least not at this point.
And I get really mean in Pinochle. So.
Spiteful.
But to me, like that's part of playing the game is getting mean, like
yeah, I think playing
yelling at your
Pinochle
partner for messing up.
when we were first engaged was a great primer for me to like play Spirit Island with you because I'm like, oh, it's just like his spiteful gamer coming out.
Yeah,